Afternoon, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome to spring. Beautiful day out today. Appreciate y'all coming down for the meeting. I'll call the meeting to order of the Omaha Planning Board. The Planning Board members that are here today are John Sullivan, our newbie. Welcome, John. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. David Rosacker is ill today, so he will not be here. Chris Rupert, Jorge Sotolongo, Patrick Morris, Vice Chair, and I'm Michael Pate, Chairman. Members of the city staff that are in attendance today are Eric England, Assistant Planning Director, Mike Carter, Current Planning Manager, Jennifer Taylor of the City Law Department, and Kathy Epperson, Recording Secretary. Our rules of procedure are as follows. Notice of this hearing has been published. Copies of today's agenda are located on the table in front of us. You are certainly welcome to come down and pick one up here. The cases on the consent agenda will be heard first. Consent cases that have been recommended for layover or have already been heard or are perceived by the Planning Board to be non-controversial, therefore will be read and voted on without the opportunity for you to state your opinion on the case. If you wish to have this case discussed during the hearing, you may remove the case from the consent agenda. To do so, this is important, to do so when I read each consent case, I will ask if anyone wants that case removed for discussion. If you do want that removed, please stand up and say that you want this case removed. This case will then be heard after we vote on the cases that remained on consent agenda. When the case is heard, you will have the opportunity to come to the podium, clearly state your name and address, and give your testimony at that time. When hearing cases on the regular agenda, the board will first hear from the applicant, and after the applicant states their case, we will hear from the proponents, and then we will hear from the opponents. After both sides are heard, the public hearing will be closed and no additional testimony will be permitted unless a board member requests additional information. When at the podium, please clearly state your name, address, and whom you are representing for the record. Your testimony is very important to us. In the interest of time and courtesy to others, please be short and to the point. We will try to limit each case to 10 minutes. Those directly involved in the case, please speak first. We request that large groups select a spokesperson to represent that group, therefore eliminating repetitive testimony. When giving testimony, please provide new information and try not to repeat what has previously been said. We do ask that all speakers and others be treated with courtesy and with respect. In that regard, please remain silent while seated and please turn off your cell phones. Our decision to approve, deny, or continue a case made here today will be forwarded to the City Council for another public hearing and final disposition by the City Council. Conditional use permits are an exception to this rule. The board's decision made here today on conditional use permits are final and not forwarded on to City Council. Lastly, upon the advice of the Law Department, all communications to the board members from attorneys or other interested parties should be transmitted through the Planning Department so that they are made part of the public record. The department will then transmit all that information to the board as well as to the rest of the public. A current copy of the Nebraska Meetings Act can be found in the white binder in this room. There are no changes to the agenda today as it is right now. So at this time, what we're going to do is, I'm going to get into the consent cases here in a little bit, but we have one person to recognize that served on our planning board for, I think, a little over a year or maybe a year or so. His name is Matt Tondal. Matt, would you please come forward today? Matt had to, unfortunately, he moved out of the city limits of the city and had to resign his position from the planning board. And if you would, Matt, would you please stand there and then we'll join you here in a second.
Do I have to give my name? And
Actually, probably yes.
Yeah. I don't think he does. He's not testifying on anything, yeah. But Matt, during that year, I mean, you were such a contributor to this planning board and to the process. You did such a great job. We really appreciate the time and the effort and all your insights on this. And you're such a professional at what you do and what you did. And I greatly appreciate that and getting to know you a little bit as well, because I didn't obviously know you before you joined the planning board. But fantastic job, and we're going to miss you certainly. And who knows? Maybe sometime down the road, once you get annexed.
Yeah.
You never know.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate that very much.
Board does very important work, and I thank you for the opportunity to serve for a little over a year. It was very interesting, very rewarding. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, just want to say thanks, Matt. I've known you for a long time, but it was a pleasure to serve with you on the Omaha Planning Board, and you're very valuable, and you certainly will be missed.
Yeah, I'll be around.
Good.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Matt, on behalf of City of Omaha and the Planning Department, appreciate your service, and obviously you're not a stranger, and continue work with you on different projects. So appreciate it, and sorry your time was cut short, and but that's okay. So
Yep.
we
Thanks, Eric.
appreciate it. We do have a certificate here, and we'd like to take a picture out in front here with you.
Picture, Mike.
We usually do this at the end, but unfortunately didn't work.
Thank you. All right. That was great. All right, I'll now read the cases that are on consent agenda for approval, and then I'll read the ones that are on consent agenda for layover. So the first item on consent for approval is item 2, KC 326010. The applicant is City of Omaha. It's on consent for approval. The request is approval of an amendment to the future land use element of the city's master plan from civic and open space to industrial. The location is 6404 South 60th Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? Okay. This corresponds with item number 13 too, and I'll get to that here in a second. Next is item 6, KC 1226007. The applicant is Scott Ballin. It's on consent for approval. The request is preliminary and final plat approval of Elkhorn Hills, a minor plat inside city limits. The location, southeast of 203rd Street and Veterans Drive. Would anyone like to have this removed? Okay. Next is item 8, KC 1226018. The applicant is McDermott Gen 3 Properties LP, on consent for approval. The request is preliminary and final plat approval of Grass Pad, a minor plat inside city limits. Portions of the property are located within the FF, Flood Fringe, and FW Floodway Overlay districts. The location is northwest of Park Road and Main Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? Okay. Also on item 26 corresponds with this as well, so I'll read that here in a bit. Next is item 10. KC 1004177, KC 1226021. The applicant is Omaha RJ2 Rents, LLC, on consent for approval. The request is preliminary plat approval of Cattail Creek Commercial Replat 2, a subdivision outside city limits, with the approval of a major amendment to the mixed-use development agreement for the Cattail Creek Commercial. The location is northeast of 192nd and Q Streets. Would anyone like to have this removed? Okay, next is item 11, KC 1026004. The applicant is Red Dot Realty, LLC. This is on consent for approval. The request is rezoning from R1 and R3 to R3. The location is 4734 and 4802 South 90th Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? All right, next is item 12, KC 1026008. The applicant is Mark Sanford Group, on consent for approval. Request is rezoning from LO to CC, along with expansion of the ACI 3 Area of Civic Importance Overlay District. The location is 330 North 117th Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? Okay, next is item 13, KC 1026009. The applicant is City of Omaha, on consent for approval. The request is rezoning from DR to GI. The location is 6404 South 60th Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? Next is item 14, KC 1026019. Applicant is M&S Mini Storage LLC, on consent for approval. Rezoning from R5 and GC to CC, along with expansion of the ACI2 Area of Civic Importance Overlay District. The location is 2808 Ames Avenue. Would anyone like to have this removed? Next is item 15, KC 1026029, C7 91050. The applicant is Catholic Archbishop Omaha. It's on consent for approval. The request is rezoning from DR to R4 with approval of a major amendment to the conditional use permit to allow a secondary allow secondary educational facilities in the R4 district, along with a waiver of to Section 55186 height to allow a 48-foot tall building addition. Portions of the property are located within the FF, Flood Fringe, FW, Floodway, and MCC overlay districts. The location is 3131 South 156th Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? Next is item 16, KC 1026024. Applicant is Sparking Development on consent for approval. Request is rezoning from R435 to R6, along with the expansion of the MCC overlay district. The location is 6220 North 30th Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? Okay, none. I am going to pull item number 17. I'll read it to you just so you know which case it is. I'm removing this, and this item will be heard in the regular agenda. It's item 17. It's case C10-02-215. The applicant is MJA Copperfields LLC. It's on consent for approval right now, but I'm pulling it off. The request is approval of the major amendment to the mixed-use development agreement for Copperfields, 3701 South 203rd Street. So this item will be heard during the regular meeting after we read all of the other consent cases. Next is item 19, case C8-26002. The applicant is Edgar Macias. It's on consent for approval. The request is approval of a special use permit to allow automotive sales in the CC district. The location is 4801 Q Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? You want to hear this case then? You want to talk about this case? Not now, but during the regular meeting, you want it pulled off. Okay. That will be heard as well in the regular meeting then. Next is item 21, case C8-17-257. The applicant is Ponca Tribe of Nebraska. It's on consent for approval. This request is approval of a major amendment to the large project special use permit in the GI district. The location is 5701, 5802, and 5820 South 86th Circle. Would anyone like to have this removed? Okay. Next is item 24, case C7-26001. The applicant is Mike Tackett on consent for approval. The request is approval of a conditional use permit to allow an accessory dwelling unit in the R2 district. The location is 1119 South 80th Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? All right, next item is 26, case C7-26025. The applicant is McDermott Gen 3 Properties LP. This is also on consent for approval along with item 8, which is related. The request is approval of a conditional use permit to allow agricultural sales and services in the LI Limited Industrial District. Portions of the property are located within the FF Flood Fringe and FW Floodway Overlay Districts. Location is northwest of Park Road and North Main Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? And our last case for consent approval is case item 27, case C7-26026. The applicant is St. Andrew's Episcopal Church on consent for approval. The request is approval of a major amendment to the presumed conditional use permit pursuant to section 55883Q to allow religious assembly in the R1 district. The location is 925 South 84th Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? You want it removed? Okay. That will also be heard during the regular agenda then. All right, those are all of our cases on consent for approval. I am now going to read a few cases that are on consent for layover. The first one is item 4, case C3-26022. The applicant is Planning Department on behalf of the City of Omaha. It's on consent for layover. The request is approval of the Drury Plaza Hotel TIF redevelopment project plan. Location is 501 South 10th Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? Okay. Next is item 9, case C10-11063, C12-11113. The applicant is USS Hazard, Inc. It's on consent for layover. The request is preliminary and final plat approval of Meriwether Place, a subdivision inside city limits with a waiver of section 5384D, lot frontage, and rezoning from HI, Heavy Industrial District, to DR, Development Reserve District. Portions of the property are located within the F-Way Floodway Overlay District. Location is 2499 Freedom Park Road. This is also related to item 23 as well, which I'll read here in a bit. Would anyone like to have this removed? Next is item 18, KC 1026-012, C 1126-011. The applicant is Mark Sanford Group on consent for a layover. The request is rezoning from HI to R7 with approval of the PUR, Planned Unit Redevelopment Overlay District. The location is 2646 Y Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? It's on for layover, which means there's not going to be any formal action taken if it's approved for layover. So you want it off, okay? Okay, next is item 20, KC 826. The applicant is Home Woven. It's on consent for layover. The approval of a special use permit. The request is approval of a special use permit to allow general offices in the HI district, properties located within the ACI area of civic importance overlay district. The location is 2332 South 24th Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? Okay, that will be removed as well. And next is item 23, which is related to item number 9, which I read a little bit earlier, which is KC 811062. Applicant is USS Hazard, Inc. It's on consent for layover. The request is approval of the special use permit to allow a campground in the DR district. Portions of the property are located within the FW Floodway Overlay District. Location is 2499 Freedom Park Road. Would anyone like to have it removed? And our last case on layover then is item 25, KC 726020. Applicant is Robert Thielen. It's on consent for layover. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Request is approval of the conditional use permit to allow an accessory dwelling unit in the AG district. Properties located within an ED, Environmental Overlay District. The location is 12501 North 108th Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? Okay. That concludes our consent agenda items. We had a couple cases pulled off of there, and those will be heard after we vote on these consent cases. So I would entertain a motion to approve the items that were remaining on consent for approval.
A motion to approve agenda items number 2, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 21, 24, and 26.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Morris,
Yes.
Solongo,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Rupert,
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
approved, 5-0.
thank you. Next, I'll entertain a motion for those consent items that are remaining on for layover.
Motion to lay over agenda items number 4, 9, 23, and 25.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Solongo,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Rupert,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
approved, 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Okay, those consent cases have been officially dealt with. You're certainly free to stay, but you're welcome to go if you're here for one of those cases. So thank you for being here. Okay, now we'll move into those cases that were pulled off of the consent agenda. First of all, the ones that were pulled off from the agenda for approval. And the first one I have, I think, is item 17, which is case C10-02215. The applicant is MJA Copperfields LLC. It's on consent for approval. The request is approval of a major amendment to the mixed-use development agreement for Copperfield. The location is 3701 South 203rd Plaza. May we hear from the applicant?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Larry Jobin, 11440 West Center Road, appearing on behalf of the applicant. With me today is Randy Cusack of Lampreniers and the consulting engineers on this particular project. This is a pretty simple amendment to the mixed-use development agreement to reduce the buffer yard from 30 to 25 foot, but only as it relates to the covered patios. And then also an amendment to the mixed-use development agreement to flip the curbside landscaping with the sidewalk for aesthetic reasons. The recommendation of the planning department is for approval. It was on consent agenda. I really don't have anything more to add. We appreciate the recommendation of the planning department. I think we'll hear from opposition. One thing I would point out is, from what I understand in the opposition, is it relates to post-construction stormwater management issues that are not really germane to what's before the board today. So not that those won't be addressed outside of this meeting, but my understanding is all the post-construction stormwater management policies have been complied with. All the requirements of the code have been complied with, and so there's really nothing, that's out of the ordinary here. So, but we're happy to meet with whoever is here to talk about those types of issues, but I don't know that this is the appropriate place for this particular amendment.
Well, it may be, Larry, if we've got some, if we've got some concerns, we'd like to get answers to some of those questions
Yeah,
that might be out.
and I guess we'll hear from the opposition, and we'll try to address what we can. But with that, I'm here for questions. And
Is
so is
your
Randy.
developer here with you?
No, Jerry Torsen is not here.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Are there any other proponents that wish to speak? Proponents. Are you a proponent? Are you for the project?
I'm a rookie about this.
Are you, are you for the project or are you against it?
Against.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay. Any other proponents? Okay, now, any opponents? So this is your time if you oppose, if you're interested in testifying, come on up, maybe have a seat in front here, that way you can address the board. And please clearly state your name and address for the record.
Me?
Yep.
I'm Mary Minton, 20211 George B. Lake Parkway, Omaha. I'm a rookie at this.
That's
I've
okay,
never done this
that's okay.
before, so you got to help me out through this. The only thing I'm concerned about, because I live right next door to this building, they're trying to increase the size of the patio area, which I understand, but in my little niche, they have a huge buildup where they build up the whole area. It's like 4 feet above my fence. And I'm mostly concerned about water. If we start getting rain, all this water from their property is going to run right down because, like I said, it's built up 4 foot above my property. And I want to know what we're doing about water issues. I know that's not part of this, but it's a substantial issue if you've got, a heavy rain in the spring and it's all coming down onto my property.
So do you live just to the east of this development then?
Yes.
Just to the east, okay.
And also, not me, but there are a bunch of townhomes that skirt that entire area. And 4 foot above my area is where the first building is, but it goes up to about 8 foot. And a lot of these townhomes are multi-level, with the bottom level windows being ground level. So if you've got an 8 foot rise where these apartments are, and then you've got townhomes down here, my concern is what's going to happen to those basements, for these people that are living there. Again, not my problem, but it's an issue, I think, with just the water flow from these buildings. They've got all sorts of concrete, very little grass area, so nothing to really absorb any of this water. So that's my main concern.
But we haven't had any rains or any snow melt of any substance, so you really don't know at this point in time how much water is going to run off, right?
True,
Okay.
but again, my concern is, how we get storms here in Nebraska, and the water is going to find its level somehow. So that's my main concern.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Any other opponents? Aye.
Thank you, members of the board. My name is Marty Neely. I reside at 3858 South 202nd Avenue. We are directly east of the area that the proposed amendment is affecting. I'm in lot 56. Lots 54 through 58 are directly east of the area that this proposed amendment is impacting. I do agree that stormwater management is a major part of what is happening. Our concerns, and I do represent the homeowners of the 5 residents. Several of us have emailed the board with specific concerns. The homeowners of 56, 54, and 58 have already sustained physical damage to their property because of lack of effective stormwater management from flooding and silting. The developer has not acknowledged responsibility for that. I have finally, after requests for a drainage plan, and just to get preface, I have 38 years of experience in the landscape design and construction industry, and I'm nationally and regionally acknowledged in that. So I do understand how that works. I've looked at the DOGIS topography from 2022 to current based on the grading plans, and there has been significant changes in the topography of that area and to how it flows now. I did get a copy of the SWIP plan this morning, so I had just a little time to look at it. And the proposed amendment is showing a significant change in how that property will drain. A previous topography that was shown did have a retention pond that would drain the water away from Lot 54, which is the one that has sustained the most damage. And now that has been relocated, so stormwater is going on to that property. So that is one big concern. I don't understand, nor do the other residents, why at this point the 30-foot buffer zone is being asked to be reduced. This project was designed some time ago, and it seems to us that the need for the space for the patios and decks should have been acknowledged and understood and planned for at the very beginning, and not at this point after structural foundations are already in place. Seems like either a lack of understanding or trying to figure it out and get it done later. The other concern we have is that the landscape plan in place does not really effectively provide a buffer for the residents in our area that are impacted by now an addition of outdoor living space for these townhomes, when before what we understood is there would just be windows. And the proposal says that they're asking for this buffer zone to be reduced and that it minimizes direct impact on the existing residents. But we disagree. We don't see how adding the porches minimizes direct impact on us. We think it has more impact on us. So I guess we would like to have them produce evidence that they're minimizing impact. By reducing the buffer zone, there's less square footage to absorb stormwater. And so, the existing landscape plan is code compliant, but I don't really believe it fulfills the intent of what the city would like to see. It doesn't really provide effective four-season screenage, nor does it provide an effective visual buffer from the new buildings and the existing residents. We would like to see an improvement on that plan. We would like to see input on that, and we would like to see a landscape plan that doesn't meet but exceed code ordinance requirements. So we've asked, I know we sent some emails, I would like to see, we, the 5 owners, would like to see this amendment laid over until further information is gathered that can thoroughly analyze and be reviewed by all affected parties, and that the homeowners can offer comment and have an impact on what a final mutually agreeable solution will be, so that we do not suffer physical damage to our properties, financial, a negative financial impact, and that we're still able to effectively enjoy our backyards for properties that we've owned. And I just recently purchased with the understanding I would not have people on patios looking down on me. Because what had been on topography a gentle slope is now 45 degrees. And having turf that is almost not mowable. And we all know commercial mowers mow on a schedule. And if we have 3 inches of rain Sunday night, and they're supposed to be there on Monday, they will. And there will be ruts, and then there will be erosion, and then the problem will keep going. So we really need to have a dialogue, and the developer needs to consider all of the parties and not just say what they're doing, it has no negative impact, because it does. Everybody can have a positive result. We all know development happens. I agree we need to have affordable housing, and that's important, but we need to do so it's not at the detriment of other people who are already living in the area. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to being able to work with Mr. Kuzak and have a productive dialogue with the developer. And after that takes place, I hopefully will be able to come back.
So real quick question for you. You mentioned at the very beginning of your introduction that you represented the homeowners. Are you homeowners president?
Well, there's 5 of us.
So you represent some of the home, you're not in official capacity.
No, there's 5 of us.
Okay.
So 2 others, Mr. Farrell and Mr. Richter, who sent emails. We're supposed to be here today, but their schedule prevented
I
them
just
from
wanted to
being
make sure
here.
that was clear for the record.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other opponents that wish to speak on this? And Larry, if you'd like to come and address some of those issues, and I see you have somebody here with you that might be related to the project, right? Go on and let us know who this might be.
Yeah, that's Randy Cusack of Lampreneurson.
Okay, so I might call you up
Yeah.
for some questions.
So a number of things, I guess, were said, so I'll try to clarify all of that. First of all, we're not trying to increase the size of the patios. The patios were actually shown on the original mixed-use development agreement that was approved by the council. What happened apparently on the civil side is there was a mistake in not seeing the 5-foot patios covered encroach into the buffer yard by 5 feet. So this is correcting that. But that plan was actually approved by the city council. So the buildings,
That's my question.
Yeah.
Same images were shown?
same,
design?
everything, nothing has changed. And I was going to add that the grading plan has not changed. The post-construction stormwater management plan has not changed.
And do you recall what date that was when you were first here, about when the,
I don't.
sorry,
It was 2024, the major amendment that has the current site plan.
Yeah, so planning board is June 7th, 2023.
okay.
It
Right.
took some months then to get to council.
And so the landscape plan was approved. It's compliant with the zoning code. It's consistent with the mixed-use development agreement. Nothing has changed there.
When you say nothing has changed though, Larry, you said that the patios were shown on the original plan.
They were shown in the mixed-use development agreement that was approved. There was a civil issue with the civil drawings, and maybe Randy can explain that better, but apparently they didn't catch the fact that only the patios encroach into the buffer yard. The buildings themselves meet the 30-foot buffer yard
Yeah,
requirements.
I understand that. So that's the question I'm going to have for you. So be thinking about that.
My one question, I want to make sure those patios were shown. I'm not trying to place blame on anybody, but the patios were there when you went through that initial approval process.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. And they're part of the original approved mixed-use development agreement. This is really a correction, if you will, to get a 5-yard buffer, only with respect to the covered patios, not the buildings. The buildings are 30 feet back. But nothing changed with respect to the grading from the original building permit and mixed-use development agreement. Nothing has changed from the landscaping. Nothing has changed from the post-construction stormwater management. And I think the sidewalk flipping of that's on the other side of the building. No one probably cares about that issue. So really, all this is about is these covered patios that encroach into the buffer yard by 5 feet. Not the buildings, just the patios. Nothing else has changed. And I think Randy and Lampreneurson are happy to meet with the neighbors, outside of this meeting to address, any post-construction stormwater management concerns they might have. But we're obviously required to comply with the approved plan and also the code and regulations regarding post-construction stormwater management. So I think what we're here today to allow is an amendment so they can continue building these apartments, which are only 2 stories, as the planning department has recognized and recommended that they're consistent, from a use perspective, and the building permits are in place, the agreements are all in place. This is simply an amendment to fix that one issue.
So I think you said that there was a misstep in the civil. I think you used misstep as
Yeah, I mean, I think, and Randy can probably explain it better, but
but would you consider that to be an error?
that would be an error. But here's what I would say about that. Yes, errors happen sometimes, but this is a small encroachment. We're talking about covered patios. You're not talking about the buildings themselves.
I know, Larry, but I think the concern is it wasn't on the original plan, and here it is now. Are we trying to put something through that was always meant to be the way it's shown now and supposed to be the way it was originally?
No, it was shown
I know,
with the encroachment.
but without the 5 feet of the patio being shown.
No, the patios were shown, I believe. They were shown, and with the
Within the 30
elevations,
feet or within?
the dimensions, I guess, were not shown, and it was the miss was that the patios exceed the 30-foot buffer yard by 5 feet, but the patios were shown 5 feet into the buffer yard on the approved mixed-use development agreement. So this is really to fix that issue. Nothing has changed with respect to the building elevations. Nothing has changed with respect to the dimensions and the location of the patios. What ended up happening is they determined that those patios encroach into the buffer yard by 5 feet. So this amendment is to fix just that. But they were shown 5 feet in. It just wasn't dimensioned, if you will. But again, Randy's here to explain
All right, why don't we bring
that
Randy-
part of
why
it,
don't we bring Randy up here then?
which I'll turn over to him, and he can answer any questions. Randy.
Thank you, Larry.
Randy Kushak, 14710 West Dodge Road, Omaha, Nebraska, of Lamper Nearson. To address the item related to the original major amendment approved in 2024, with civil and architectural scope, civil don't go inside the building. That's kind of the holy piece there. One of the spots that can come up where there can be some coordination items that get a little bit missed are where we have aerial elements that extend out over top of the footprint as we look at that footprint as it connects to the ground. This is a case where at the ground level, we didn't have anything that flagged it, and it was upper levels of that plan that were missed at that time. The architectural elevations that were submitted with that represented a patio. I would say that it wasn't clearly representative of that encroachment at the time. However, we were right up against the 30-foot buffer at that point when that original mixed-use amendment went through. Our unit count, our unit mix, what the units look like are the exact same as what was represented at that time. At that time, there were windows at the same elevation that we're representing right here. There were no concerns brought forward to Planning Board at that time or City Council with any neighbor opposition. I can go there if you have any further questions about stormwater or any other items. I'm more than happy to address.
I appreciate the explanation of that. So, and it's important in the scope of things how it all kind of came together and occurred. And I know stormwater isn't necessarily part of this, but it is an issue. And I would like to hear about what maybe your possible solutions are to try and remedy some of the issues that were raised here today with regards to the drainage going into the backyards of the home.
Yeah, so when we do a site plan, the first thing we do is we do a topographic survey. The topographic survey indicates that there was a slope flowing into these backyards in the pre-existing condition prior to us doing this project. When we saw that, we have a delineation of what that existing drainage area is, where that water goes, and we work to maintain the drainage that as it exists that day. That's part of the PCS&B code. We look at 2, 10, and 100-year storms so that we don't increase that peak flow rate going to those areas. That exercise was done at this point. The neighbors may not remember because this lot has had, growth on it, sat for a long time. Maybe they hadn't looked out there too much, but there was a 3-to-1 slope coming up that has raised a little bit, but the reason it's raised is that in the original condition, there was a swale at the top of the slope that sent drainage to the old basin that she mentions that has been relocated to a different location. With the current plan, the top of the slope is maintained, raised a little bit, so we can send that water back to the middle drainage, or the middle.
Between the
the
properties?
units.
The
No, back to the central part of our property.
Your property.
We have units on each side of a central drive aisle. That water is going back to the center so that we can get it to the basin away from those properties. So the only rainwater that will fall on these properties are the areas of the slope that had always went to their properties. And so we are confident, and we have provided sealed drainage studies, submitted those to the city, and we've been in coordination with the Public Works Department on our post-construction stormwater management plan. And we believe we are consistent with the existing drainage patterns. Now, obviously, during construction, there is dirt. There are things that go on like that. We do weekly inspections on the site in compliance with the stormwater management regulations of the city of Omaha. We note any deficiencies and pass those on to the developer. I would say that there have been complaints that have come through, and the developer has met with the owner of Lot 58, Mr. Farrell, and have worked to remedy those situations. So to say that we haven't had any contact or haven't been working with neighbors, I don't believe is entirely correct. We have addressed by adding silt fence and additional wattles in addition to the original approved SWIP that was for the area to try to remedy any of that stormwater runoff as it occurs just in the normal situation of a stormwater permit. So as the engineer of record of this project, I'm confident that what we are proposing and what is approved on the plans for the building permit will not negatively impact the adjacent property owners as it relates to peak flows of runoff of stormwater. Elevations and other items, we believe were consistent, although a little bit higher. That higher is actually to protect those lots so that we don't have water sending right up to their property line. That water is actually going to push away from the property line.
And that's showing on
above the slope. That will go, and it's on the approved grading plan.
It is.
Yeah.
One final question I have for you is with regards to the buffer. I know it's the 5 foot of the patio or the decks that are creating the issue here. Are the footings already in for those?
I am unaware of that. I know some footings have been constructed, but we're not contracted to be out there for inspections for the actual construction of the buildings. Obviously, if anything is installed, it's at the risk of the builder, as it's certainly until any potential approval of an amendment would be in place. It's not.
Okay, that was my question. Couldn't be my question. Yeah. All right, thank you. Hold on a second. All right. Are there any other opponents that wish to speak before I? Okay. You raised your hand. You want to come back up? Maybe say, and please keep it brief. Come on back up. You can't speak from. You can't. Okay. To keep. If you've got pictures, just come up back up again. Enter your name and address for the record. So we have that.
Mary Minton, 20211 George B. Lake Parkway.
Okay.
You can pull the arm up. Thanks. And then you can place your phone on that and it'll project on the screens.
Let me just say, I know you guys are concerned mostly with the stormwater, and I get that, and Larry's right, it's not part of this decision necessarily, but I would highly recommend that the developer and your team continue to have dialogue, find a common solution, and what you described was pretty good, but find a common solution so you can deal with this, because we can't deal with that here today, okay?
Okay, there's a picture of the patios that we're discussing.
So the footings are.
Can you see?
Those are the northern units that
Oh, that's
they're
the
not
north.
seeking a
Oh,
buffer
okay.
yard
Okay.
change on those units.
Those are different units then.
Yeah.
And you can see that as far as the drainage, you can see that they've built it up 4 feet right there. And it gets worse as it goes further on. These are the units that this young lady was talking about. You can see that the mud and the dirt is going onto their property, and here you can see, as we talk further back, you can see that it goes up to 8 feet where this dirt has been piled as they increase the level of the entire area. And you can see,
So is that silt fence right on the property line?
I think so. But you can see it gets higher and higher. This is a 4-foot fence and it's level with the top of that 4-foot fence. And again, you can see, it's hard to see with this picture, but
Now we get it.
it goes all the way back here, and you can see in this area here, we're talking 6 to 8 feet. Now, you can't tell me, and again, I'm not a landscape expert or anything like that, but you can tell you've got water coming down. If it's dropping 8 feet, you're going to have water
We
in
got it.
yards. Okay?
Thank you. Thanks for the pictures. Appreciate it. Did you want to come back up, say a few things?
Yes, thank you.
Name and address again, please.
Marty Neely, 3858 South 202nd Avenue. I would just like to respond to some of the comments that were made. Mr. Kuzak, I looked, living there and looking, the comments that the slope's only been changed a little bit. It's been changed a lot more than a little bit. And the weekly inspections of the silt fence, they can inspect all they want, but if they don't correct the silting that's building up on the silt fence is what they should be doing. I have read the Omaha Regional Storm Water Protection Plan Manual, and they're supposed to be removing excessive silt. None of that is happening. Now, I know Lamprey-Nearson is not responsible for what the developer does. They're responsible for writing, doing the plans, writing the recommendations, filling out all of that. But the developer is who's asking for this. And if there's not been a good faith effort to fulfill the requirements thus far, our concerns is, where they're asking for more, they're saying, oops, we made a mistake. Well, there's this little goof. What other goofs are going to show up that we're going to ask permission for another amendment because, it's just a little mistake. And we're suffering because they're not following the rules for simple things like cleaning up their mess, letting all the trash accumulate. The water was put in place after complaints were made. It's leaning against our fences. People can't open their gates. Then we're told, well, we don't know what else we can do. Well, yeah, you can put another layer. There's things you can do, but they're unwilling because it's going to cost them a little bit. Well,
You don't know that they're unwilling.
well,
Have you asked them?
I haven't asked them,
Okay.
but it's simple. And when you have a developer who's unwilling to fix what's already broken and not taking responsibility for it and saying, it's your fault that there's water in your yard, and they've changed the grade, and saying, we didn't, but 15 truckloads of dirt showed up, you can stand there and see there's still growth here, and now there's this steep slope of dirt. And when I talked to Mr. Kuzak and I said, well, I guess I can go up there and look, and he said, that's private property, it's a construction site, and I advise you to not go there. And I said, well, there's a 5-foot utility easement. I guess I could walk onto the utility easement. That belongs to the utility company. I suggest you not step foot on that either. So, nobody wants us to go look and see what they're doing, because it looked to me like footings had been poured for these decks.
Okay.
So,
We got it.
thank you.
Any comments? All right. I know Jerry's a good developer. He's done so many, right? And he's been so good for the community with his developments. You got to get him to get in contact with these neighbors and get us, because those pictures look like that silt fence was about to bust anyway, right? So you got to find some sort of a solution to get everything cleared up. Yeah, and I know you're willing to do it, and I think the neighbors are willing to certainly sit down and listen to, and I think Jerry would be certainly willing to go too. But yeah, you got to deal with it. I think it's important that you do. It looks that looks pretty tough right now. So that's my editorial comment. All right, any other comments? Okay, Eric.
Yeah, so I am aware that there have been emails ongoing with Public Works Department as well as with the engineer just this week. So I know that our Public Works is looking into making sure that all the rules and regulations are being followed and with the approved PCSMP plans. So, that is out of my purview, but I'm aware that those conversations are taking place and to make sure that compliance is either continued to be met, or if there is out of compliance issues, that those are addressed by the development team. So I can say that obviously it's a fluid movement, but I know there's emails in the past couple days.
Great, thank you.
I think the recommendation report speaks for itself regarding the staff support of the reduction to the 25 feet for the patios and the covered decks. These being smaller units, meeting the height of what a typical low-density residential neighborhood would be subject to as well. This isn't a large massing such as a large 100-unit apartment complex. So really providing these missing middle units, these 4 to 6 units, is more of a housing type that the city does, we want to see more of. And, obviously it would have been better if it would have been addressed the first time around, but understand sometimes mistakes happen, but therefore we are supportive. So I'll read the recommendation report. Of course, you can have further dialogue if you would like. This will need to proceed to City Council, so ultimately that body has the final vote on the major amendment. But staff recommends approval of a major amendment to the Copperfields Mixed-Use Development Agreement, subject to submittal of 5 acceptable copies prior to City Council.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Okay, any comments, questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the major amendment to the Copperfield Mixed-Use District Development Agreement, subject to submittal of 5 acceptable signed copies of the amendment prior to forwarding the request to City Council for consideration.
Second.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Rupert?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Okay, thank you. All right, good luck. Continue to get together and talk. Okay, thank you. All right, next, the item that was pulled off consent was item 19, KC 826002. The applicant is Edgar Macias. I think I said that right. If not, I apologize. It was on consent for approval. The request is approval of a special use permit to allow automotive sales in the CC district. The location is 4801 Q Street. Is the applicant here? You would just your name and address and just a little bit about what you're trying to do with this project, okay?
Hello, I am Naiset Macias, 7110 South 48th Avenue Circle. I am here on behalf of my father, Edgar Macias. We were here to request approval for a special permit to allow automotive sales at 4801 Q Street. But we're also here because we know that we have some people that are opposing the opening of a new dealership in the area. We have received a nasty phone call from someone, and I came here with my mom because I kind of knew that they were going to show up here, and I just want to hear from them why they oppose the opening of a dealership in that area.
Have you had any conversations with them?
I have not.
Face-to-face conversations?
My dad doesn't really speak English that well, but he did tell me that he received a nasty phone call from somebody calling them nasty, that they don't want them in the area, that they have gone to their property on 24th and St. Mary's, and that it was nasty, that they didn't want them there, to stay out of the neighborhood. So that's why I want to be here, and I want to hear them out, because, you know, they have the right to speak on why they don't want us in the neighborhood. But, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. All right, are there any other proponents that wish to speak? Seeing none, any opponents? There was, who opposed? Who wanted this off the consent? Okay.
Name's Lyle Pavel, 5235 South 48th Avenue. I've lived in the neighborhood for 65 years, and it just keeps to be changing. All of a sudden, this lot, it was different. They had a Mattress King and then a beauty shop, which was good. All of a sudden, last year sometime, we started getting cars in there. Not in good shape, some with flat tires, some with wrecks. All of a sudden, the lot was full. Nobody could answer anything, what was going on. I don't know who was dumping the cars there. They were using it as a storage lot. But we don't need that type of thing in our neighborhood.
When you say that type of thing, what are you specifically referring to?
Well,
Are they abandoned cars? Are
Well,
they for sale
I don't know
cars?
whose cars they are. I mean, there wasn't just one or two. It was like 20, 30 cars.
Okay.
Somebody was using it as a storage lot. And now all of a sudden it's empty, completely empty. But we've got a good car lot across the street at Holcomb's. He's been there for 60 years. Have not had any problem with them. They're great neighbors.
And when was that, when did you say that the storage was happening?
Probably last year it started.
Okay.
I'm not sure at the time, but all of a sudden cars started showing up.
But nobody was trying to sell the cars?
No, they were just
sitting there.
storage.
Okay.
Some would come in and then some would go out.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, last 2 weeks ago,
They're
they all are gone. So I'm just concerned about the neighborhood. We've got enough problems. We don't need any more. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, are there any other opponents? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back up. If you want to speak, or your mom want to speak too? Yeah. And name and address again for the record, then a couple questions before you.
Naiset Macias, 7110 South 48th Avenue Circle.
Do you currently own the property?
We do not own the property, we are renting.
You're renting the property?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're renting this property.
How long have you rented the property for?
I'm not 100% sure how long they have been renting, but it has been a little over a year.
Okay.
We did have cars on the property. We did bring them up, but obviously the city had asked us to remove the vehicles, and we did. And it's not like we were just dumping the vehicles there. Every single one of the vehicles had a Massey Motors license plate on them. Easy to search it up on the internet and figure out that they're from a car dealership.
Were you just, I just want to understand the use.
Yes.
Were you using that just to store them, then to sell them at another location, or what was the
Yes.
use of this property?
We were using it just because our area on St. Mary's is too small.
Okay.
So it didn't fit enough cars, but we have our website running, we have our Facebook running, we have our customers. So we don't do any repairs on site. There are some cars that we buy from auction, and we do have them there before we take them to other places, but we make sure that they have the Massey Motors logo on them so that they don't think we're just randomly dumping cars there.
What's the name of it?
Massey Motors.
Okay.
Yes.
So do you have a formal lease in place with the owner of the property?
Yes.
You do, and you're paying lease rent payments?
Yes.
Do you have a dealer's license to sell cars?
They do have a license to sell cars, but not on that property itself.
Okay,
For your property at 24th and...
Oh, 24th and St. Mary's, we do.
Yes.
but not the
We've
one
been
on
there
48th?
since 2018. So we've gone through this process before. But the other one on 48th, it was just extra storage for cars that we weren't able to fit on 24th and St. Mary. So I understand his concerns, and I understand that there's another dealership there. My family it's not the first business that they've owned here in Omaha. We have an ice cream shop it's been running for almost 23 years. We've never had issues with anybody. We have everything has been up to code. We've worked with the city for everything. On 24th and St. Mary's, we even changed the sidewalks, and we are willing to work with the owners of the current property to make sure that everything is up to date and good enough for our business to open up. So if we're willing to work with the owners of the property, we're also willing to work with the people of the neighborhood. Like, I don't understand why there was a necessity to be very rude without coming to us and having an adult conversation.
I don't have a problem with what you're trying to do here at all.
Yeah.
I think you're fine within your rights to do what you're doing to do, as long as you have a dealer's license. You've got to have a dealer's license in order to sell cars on the property.
Yes, I understand.
So have you applied, or are you planning to apply?
Yes.
You have applied?
From what I understand, yes, we have applied. Well, my dad has. Sorry.
It's not uncommon that the dealership license hasn't already occurred at this stage, but obviously that's something that'll be needed before
Yeah.
you open up or certificate of occupancy. That's not uncommon just because they don't have approval yet.
Okay.
And Eric, can you discuss what the regulations are in terms of maybe this limbo period before they get their license? Can they have cars or can they not? And do you have any knowledge about what notice was sent to them to remove the vehicles?
I'm not aware if there was code enforcement action or what the notice was from the city. I'm not aware of that. I'm sorry. It's commercial zoning. Yes, there should not be long-term storage of vehicles, for sale from another property. But obviously, that is something that's difficult. If cars come for a short period of time and then leave, I mean, that sort of thing happens throughout the city. But long-term storage of vehicles, I'll have to look up in the CC district if that requires a use
neighbors that park
permit.
their cars on the street, and it lasts there about 6 months, and sometimes you wonder, are they ever going to move it?
Mike, can we have the applicant come up?
Yeah, sure, come on up. You'll need to enter your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Sofia Herrera, 7110 South 48th Avenue, Circle. And I just want to mention that the reason this person thinks that it's just like a drop-off spot or place.
Storage, yeah.
Is because when we started renting and bringing cars, is when the state started doing work around the area on the street. They were doing the roundabout, so we didn't have a chance to, or we stopped to apply for the license, and like that's one of the reasons it was like a long time because we were waiting for the city to finish that construction and on the road before we start, working on the cars. So obviously we don't have a big place on 24th Street, and we started putting those cars there. I mean, we don't. I mean, I apologize if this the neighbor around that area thinks that we're leaving trash. It's not. We're trying to do everything we can to do the things the right way.
How long have you had your other location open?
For about 6 years now.
Okay, good. So you've been in business for a while, so you get it. You understand what you're doing with it, so that's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for, the license, to be approved and everything, so we can start, getting everything, our cars to be on sale.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jorge, just to follow up. So if it was a long-term parking of vehicles, that's considered vehicle storage, that's not permitted in this zoning district. So yeah, that would not be allowed. Obviously, auto sales has not yet been approved because that's what's being requested. So.
Okay. All right. Any other opponents that wish to speak? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any comments further? Okay, Eric?
Yeah, the only item that we would need addressed prior to forwarding to City Council is just a few small tweaks to the landscaping plan. So we'll need to revise an updated landscape plan that addresses those two items. Otherwise, staff recommends approval of the special use permit to allow auto sales in the CC district subject to the 7 conditions in the recommendation report.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Do I have a motion?
A motion to approve the special use permit to allow automotive sales in the CC district subject to the 7 conditions in the recommendation report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Rupert?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, good luck. All right, next item is pulled off the consent for approval was item 27, case C726026. The applicant is St. Andrew's Episcopal Church on consent, was on consent for approval. The request is approval of a major amendment to the presumed conditional use permit pursuant to section 55883Q to allow religious assembly in the R1 district. Location is 925 South 84th Street. Is the applicant here?
I'm limping. My foot fell asleep. I'm Dan Loring, 9410 Chicago Street.
I'm sorry, what was your first name?
Dan Loring.
Thank you.
Loring.
Thank you.
I'm going to read a lot of this and try and save some time. I'm a parishioner at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church. A lifelong part of my church is always getting involved in things. My latest assignment is the erection of a new sign for the church. Father Keith is the rector, Father Keith Winton. He is the chaplain at Brownell Talbot School, and he attends the school every Wednesday to talk with the children. So I'm standing in on his behalf. Otherwise, he would be here. I'm here to state why we want the sign, and Andy Nelson from American Sign and Lift will answer any technical questions. Father Keith is new to our church within the last 3 years. The Episcopal Church is a small congregation, a small piece of Christianity. However, our small church has grown 60% in the 3 years since Father Keith arrived. I'm going to tell you more about why we want you to approve this project, the sign project, but that's a good start, 60% increase. We're impressed as parishioners anyway. Our building is now host for 20 other nonprofit organizations, and this is not a huge building, so it's constantly active. We host summer music concerts for members of local musicians union, as well as a venue for area music teachers for concerts and recitals. The Omaha Pipes and Drums bagpipe players rehearse weekly and give their concerts at St. Andrews. An AA group, I like this one, an AA group meets 365 days a year at 11 o'clock at night. These are guys that want to have a meeting, and they work nights or have different hours. And when you go there at 11 o'clock, I've not been, so I'll take other people's word. There's usually about 20 to 30 of these guys there every single night. And that's something that we've been doing for just short of 2 years. We host Boy Scout, Girl Scout troops, grief, suicide prevention organizations, abuse, neighborhood garden clubs. It's a wide variety of involvement within the community. I didn't put in my note, but we're working with Westside Community Schools to also figure out how St. Andrews can fit in with some of their needs. An electronic message center, we feel, would help us to better let the public know about all the things we're doing. Our current sign is a plastic sign where you put little letters on it, and a programmable message center would allow us to have constant status of what's going on, when, where, and how. It would help us meet our goals. Can I answer any questions before I turn it over to Andy Nelson?
Thank you. Maybe in a bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Andy Nelson with American Lift and Sign. The reason we had it removed off of the consent agenda was over the couple of inches of height that we are limited to. So I know that part of the stipulations for the consent agenda was to keep it at the 6 feet tall height. The church is trying to reuse I'm going to call it historical base, because Dan said it's been there since at least 1954. And without modifying that base, we can't meet that 6 foot height. We're going to be at 6'4" on the short end of the sign, which is, the base is on a slanted hill, so it does get a little bit taller on that right side, which is why we had it removed from the consent agenda.
What do you anticipate? Are you going to have, is it going to be 24-hour message on that, or are you going to have it lit at certain times of the day?
There is stipulations in there that they were agreeing to, where I believe it's after 9 p.m. at night until 7 a.m. in the morning, something along those lines, that it was written in one of the stipulations that is, pretty common on the churches having these, and that's something that's easily to agree to. With the messages not changing any faster than every 10 seconds. So they're not going to be necessarily, they're not video messages that are playing, it's not commercials, it's information for the public and more informational type of messaging that would change no less than every 10 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, it says here 7 to 9.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If I could add just a little piece about the structure. The church was there since 1948. We put a big church on in 1954, and there's a little addition came on. The base of this sign is pretty much going to be where it's going to be. It's concrete block about 48 inches deep into the soil. I think you'd get a wind turbine out before you could move this thing. And we'd like to salvage that because it's architecturally matches the building. So adjusting the sign is problematic without some sort of exception.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents then that wish to speak? Opponents? Did you guys pull this off?
Yeah.
You pulled it off, okay, so there's no opponents. Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing.
Okay, sorry you sat down. If I could have you both come back up. I wanted to see if there was any other members of the public that were going to speak. Has the electronic message board been purchased?
No, no. We have an agreement in place that if everything passes through the city, then we're able to proceed with it, but we have not ordered it yet.
Okay. So I believe the size is 50 inches tall by 90 inches wide. If this were to not be approved, what is the next size?
2'11".
2'11"?
2'11". It drops that significant. So each of those message centers are made up by modules, and the modules are between 14 and 16 inches tall. So that's the next one that we jump down to, is we have to drop down to that pretty short height, which isn't really good for putting information on there that's readable from the distance of the road.
Do you measure from the ground up?
Yeah, so on your site exhibit, there's,
Yeah.
it shows it pretty well. Yeah.
If I could make a comment, we're
Sure.
working with the side. Is a layer of the base that's 2 inches tall plus the mortar. We can pick up 2 inches by removing that and putting an aluminum base over it. But we're still going to be 2 to 3 inches deficient of the code.
Because you can't go below that because that's where the St. Andrews sign is.
I'm sorry?
You can't go below that because that's where the St. Andrews sign is.
Correct. Yep. He's talking about right here. Just below that cap is where that St. Andrews
You can take
is,
off
yes.
the cap, but you can't go below that.
It's
Correct.
like a chimney cap for comparison, but the block below it is limestone and concrete block. But we can pick up 2 inches by removing that little collar.
I think it adds, aesthetically, it looks great on the pictures that we've got here. It looks great. I think it's an enhancement to what you have. Now, the sign you have now is nice, too. But I think it's nice. I think it's a nice enhancement.
Thank you.
Pat, I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, I mean, can you, yes.
Well, so obviously we have the recommendation report as is. It sounds like all the other conditions are acceptable. The city's not going to lose sleep that is obviously a drastic reduction to the next size. If the board sees fit, you would have to modify condition number 1. Let me just look at this to make sure I can give you all the guidance if that is something that you see fit. Now, I believe this is on tomorrow's zoning board of appeals.
It is.
So we'd have to lay over it there if. What about if it goes to 6?
I do believe the request for the ZBA was asking for a variance on that part as well.
They're asking for a waiver from 6 to 6.4 already.
But if the board were to change the recommendation to keep it at 6.4, would the ZBA need to be laid over? No. Okay.
If you're saying that they don't need a waiver of height, or they need a waiver of height that's approved with the UCA.
Yeah.
Not to exceed.
They've advertised for it. We're just recommending denial.
Okay. So, sorry, talking
That's okay.
through here,
That's good.
making sure.
Yeah, that's good.
Obviously, as you're aware, whenever there's a use permit that has a waiver that's also seeking a zoning or a zoning board of appeals waiver, they have to align with consistency. So if the board felt inclined, you could eliminate condition number 1, which is the one that's saying you have to reduce it from 6'4" to 6 feet. So I will read. Go ahead.
So it says submittal and compliance, your recommendation, number one recommendation, right?
Yes.
Sign plan demonstrating proposed monuments that will not exceed the maximum allowed speed of 6 feet.
Yes.
If we wanted to go to 6.4,
Yes, you would eliminate that condition.
eliminate that condition or say not to exceed.
Or you could modify, but they are proposing 6.4, so we don't need a new plan.
Okay.
I'm just double checking, make sure there's no other items. So I'll read the recommendation as is.
So their application is asking for 6 feet 4 inches as it's written, so we could just delete it, because then they're
You
getting
could,
what they're.
yes. And we advertise that height for zoning board of appeal, so it doesn't impact that meeting as well. So staff recommends approval of the major amendment to the conditional use permit for religious assembly, subject to the 7 conditions in the report.
4 inches. Okay, thank you, Eric. Yeah, we were just,
kind of shooting back and forth. I think as long as there's not a major traffic issue or some or vision, then I think we're splitting hairs, and it's probably fine.
okay, with that, do I have a motion?
I'll motion for the approval of a major amendment to a conditional use permit to allow religious assembly in the R1 district, subject to the 7 conditions in the recommendation report, but I'll remove condition number 1.
Okay.
You okay with that, Law? Okay, thank you.
You're good? All right. All right, we have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Rupert?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
I just, did I ask for any opponents on that?
Yeah.
I did, okay. Okay, thank you. Good.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Yeah. All right, that concludes all the cases that were on consent for approval that were taken off. Now we have a couple that were taken off that were on consent for layover. First one is item 18, which is KC 10-26012, KC 11-26011. Applicant is Mark Sanford Group. It was on consent for layover. Taken off. The request is rezoning from HI to R7 with approval of a PUR, Planned Unit Redevelopment Overlay District. The location is 2646 Y Street. May we hear from the applicant? Mark?
Good afternoon. I'm Mark Sanford, the architect for this project, 12509 Reed Street, Omaha, Nebraska, 68142. This project is the development of 8 small units being constructed on this property, attached to the existing building that we intend to tie into the residential aesthetic of this neighborhood. I'm here to answer any questions. I'm not sure what the issues are for layover because the mailing did not get to my mailbox until probably this afternoon, right
Oh.
about now. So
Okay.
I'm not
We'll
sure
find
what
out.
I'm not sure what the issues are. So we'll take care of those.
Thank you, Mark. Are there any other proponents? Okay, any opponents? Are you an opponent? Please come forward.
My name is Mary Pat Florido, and I live at 2620 Y Street. Me and my family basically owns like 4 houses on that street. My concern is this supposed to be a business, or are they adding on apartments? Because right now it's a business with an apartment upstairs. And my concern is, how much traffic is this going to bring into our neighborhood? Because right now we can't even get our street fixed now. But for them, when they even have like a party or anything, they block our alley. And we use our alley because that's where we park at, because there's only one side of the street you can park on Y Street. But my concern is this supposed to be a business? Because right now it's a business. And I know there's an apartment upstairs. Or are they making it into apartments now? I don't know.
Well, we'll bring Mark back up and he can answer those questions. But you do understand that this was on consent for layover, which means that no action was going to be taken because there's several deficiencies in the application that was received that need to be addressed before any action can be taken on it. So
I just got the letter in the mail.
sure, I understand. But it was on for layover, which means we weren't going to approve it and necessarily deny it. It was just going to be laid over to be heard until the deficiencies that were in the application are addressed. So they still have to be addressed, but we'll let Mark answer your question as to what the project's going to be. But
Yeah, Mark Sanford,
Thank you, Mark.
architect. Yeah, these are 8 small units. They're 300 and, I believe, 315 square feet apiece. They're for special needs people, individuals. They won't be coming and going. It's not an apartment like you're envisioning with coming and going and traffic. We have the right amount of parking. They have parking across the street as well for their.
They use the back a lot
Correct.
too.
Yeah, and we're going to clean that alley up. Part of that project is cleaning that alley up and paving up to that point where the parking will happen on their property. So they will not be blocking that alley.
So
But
basically it's gonna
what
be
I'd like to do is get your address.
Yeah,
and
you
we'll
guys
get
can continue.
Rebecca and Rosemary, and have you come and look at our rendering and our plan.
I seen the pictures.
yeah, instead of having a conversation between you now, you two
Yeah.
get together and you can continue to talk, because
Yes.
it's probably likely still going to be laid over, right? So you continue to have conversations about it so you can get some more information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other
Thank you.
opponents that wish to speak? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Any other comments, questions? Eric?
Staff recommends layover.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please, Kathy, please record the vote.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Rupert?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo? Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll see you next
Yep,
month.
thank you. All right, good luck. Okay, next item that was pulled off of consent for layover was item 20, KC 826-003. The applicant is Home Woven. It was on consent for layover, pulled off. The request is approval of a special use permit to allow general offices in the HI district, properties located within an ACI area of civic importance overlay district. The location is 2332 South 24th Street. From the applicant.
Good afternoon. My name is Eric Crawford, 1804 South 208th Street. I'm here representing Home Woven. I'm the assistant director at Home Woven. We'd applied for the special special use permit for 2332 South 24th. It formerly was a bar and grill and a single family residence. We wanted the special use permit was to convert that to offices for about 8 to 10 for another nonprofit that does similar work as to Home Woven. We do home affordability and home preservation programs for low to middle income. I just want to make note we did submit a new site plan that does accurately reflect the site and meet the guidelines and standards of everything. I just want to make note of that. We submitted to the city, so I don't know. I'm just guessing there was a little bit of lag or delay in that, that being available to all of you. So, I can share that with you now or whatever it is.
You could definitely hand in something. I don't know when that was submitted. We don't have the ability after the packet is produced to, to review any updated plans, unfortunately. So, we can have it back on for next month.
Okay. Yeah, I just
but-
want to make note of that today.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, we appreciate it, and sorry for the delay, but
No worries.
obviously, we have a lot of cases, and
I-
we can
I
only
completely
juggle so much.
understand.
So,
Yeah, I know things get delayed, but yeah, I just want to make note of that today. So.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank
Eric. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Eric?
Yeah, so obviously there was some additional information that we do need, and hopefully that has been addressed with the new plan. And if not, we have some additional time, a few days past the typical deadline for the layover cases to get that information in. So we'll continue to work with the applicant, and hopefully it's back on next month then. But staff recommends layover.
Thank you. Okay, do I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Rupert? Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo? Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Okay, thank you. All right, that concludes the cases that were on a consent agenda, either for approval or layover. Now we'll move into the cases that were on the regular agenda for the public hearing. First one is item 1, KC 8-18-231. The applicant is MS Walkup Investments LLC. The request is approval of a major amendment to a special use permit to allow agricultural sales and service in the AG Agricultural District. Properties located within an FF flood fringe overlay district. This was laid over from our October 1st, 2025 meeting. Location is 1701 North 252nd Street. May we hear from the applicant?
Yes, Clint Purtle, MS Walkup Investments, 1701 North 252nd is our business address. We're looking for a major amendment to our special use permit to build a building to use for office space and showroom, that sort of stuff.
Okay. You got everything cleared up that the city was looking for?
I believe so, yeah. From what I understand.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it's been a long road, but I think
Yeah.
we're getting somewhere.
I know it has been, but thanks for doing that.
Yeah, no
Appreciate
problem.
you working with them. Okay. All right, thank you. Are there any other proponents that wish to speak? Any opponents? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Eric?
Yeah, no, we appreciate the applicant came in after the layover at Planning Board. I believe it was in the October month, and so he was very receptive and addressed several of the items. There's still a few items, Clint, that you'll have to address before it can go to City Council. So if you're not clear on what those are with conditions 1 and 2, make sure to continue to coordinate with staff so we can continue to keep this moving to City Council. So with that being said, staff recommends approval of the major amendment to a special use permit for ag sales and service, subject to the 8 conditions in the recommendation report.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the major amendment to a special use permit to allow agriculture sales and service in the AG district, subject to the 8 conditions in the recommendation report.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Rupert. Yes. Morris,
Yes.
Sotolongo.
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
approved 5-0.
thank you. Good luck. All right, next, actually, I'm going to kill three of these items in one event here. So we're going to do item 3, 7, and 22 together. The first item is number 3, case C326017. Applicant is Goodwill Industries, Inc. The request is approval of amendment to the future land use element of the city's master plan from open space to industrial, and the location is 6402 Q Street. Item 7 is KC 1026014, C1226015. Again, applicant Goodwill Industries, Inc. The request is preliminary and final plat approval of a Goodwill Industries, Inc., a minor plat inside city limits with rezoning from DR to GI, along with expansion of the MCC overlay. Property is located within the FF Flood Fringe Overlay District. The location is 6402 Q Street. And then item 22, which is case CH26016, is Goodwill, and applicant is Goodwill Industries, Inc. And the request is approval of a special use permit to allow general offices and general retail sales in the GI district. Property is located within the Flood Fringe, FF Flood Fringe Overlay District. Again, location 6402 Q Street. May we hear from the applicant?
Good afternoon. My name is Caleb Snyder with Lamper Nearson, 14710 West Dodge Road, Omaha, Nebraska. We're the civil engineers on this project, helping the Goodwill Industries team through the entitlement process. Here with me today, I have Toby Mathhauser, and I'm going to actually turn it over to her and let her do a brief introduction to the project. And then after that, we're here to answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Toby Mathhauser. I'm the president and CEO of Goodwill Industries. Goodwill is located at 4805 North 72nd Street in Omaha, Nebraska. I appreciate you taking the time this afternoon. Just want to provide a real brief overview of the project and the need. We have been a staple in the Omaha community since 1933. Today, we employ nearly 800 individuals and have 20 different locations in eastern Nebraska and southwest Iowa. As you know, Goodwill is a 501c3 organization who uses the sale of donated items to fund job training, education, employment placement, and support programs for community members in need. In 2024 alone, Goodwill reinvested $3.6 million from retail revenue back into these programs. We supplied affordable, essential items found in our stores to hundreds of thousands of shoppers and hardworking families who might not be able to afford these items elsewhere. We provided an outlet for over 500,000 donors to take their unwanted items, keeping nearly 20 million pounds of goods out of landfills. It's critical that we are able to continue providing these services to the city of Omaha. For the last 15 years, Goodwill's Retail Operations Center, which is the hub of all of our retail operations, has been housed at a warehouse on 72nd and F Street. This 92 square foot building has served us well. But with an expiring lease and the outgrowth of this facility, it's time for us to move forward. After spending over 3 years trying to find an existing building to suit our needs, or a piece of land large enough, and a site that's accessible to not only our employees, but our customers and participants, we finally found a location in the central part of the city on a bus line close to the interstate in this piece of property. This site will allow us to build a 150,000 square foot building where we will relocate our outlet store and warehouse from 72nd and F Street, as well as our administrative offices from 72nd and Ames, keeping affordable items, keeping jobs, donation outlet, and training opportunities in the community, and hopefully keeping Goodwill in Omaha for another 93 years. I'd be happy to answer any questions now or after Caleb presents.
Are you going to keep your other locations open then after you, if you get this approved and move forward with this?
We will not keep our location on 72nd and F, and we will eventually sell our building on 72nd and Ames.
Okay. So, okay. So where would drop-off sites be for anybody that would want to donate?
We will continue to operate our drop-off sites at all 16 of our other locations in Omaha and the surrounding areas.
Okay. Those other locations are warehousing locations, though?
Those other locations are retail with donation drop-off sites.
Okay. But
This
the two
is
on
our
72nd Street, 72nd and Ames, and 72nd and F Street, are those?
72nd and F is our only warehouse.
Okay.
72nd and Ames is a retail store attached to our administrative offices.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other proponents that wish to speak? Okay. Are there any opponents? Okay. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Eric?
Yeah. I think there'll be a few people sad to see Milts go. I played there a lot when I was a kid, but that's okay. No, obviously, this is a good project. We've discussed, there's a levee critical area on the western portion that has some restrictions that the NRD covers based on the adjacent stream and creek. So I don't think there's anything really to point out. There's no large deficiency, so we will take the 3 items separately. So agenda item 3 is specifically a future land use amendment to change from open space, obviously with the golf course. Sometimes those are classified as open space, with that going away to industrial, which is very consistent with the area. So for agenda item number 3, which you'll take a motion and vote, staff recommends approval.
Okay. Are there any recommendations to that other than that? Okay. Okay. Do I have a motion? Thank you. You have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Rupert? Yes. Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, next is item 7.
Yeah, for agenda item 7, I'll just point out to the applicant, there was one condition that was missed from the text that is already within the comments, so there's actually 6 conditions. So we'll make sure, if you haven't received that updated report, we'll get that to you, but it's nothing of concern or anything. So it's already addressed in the comments. So this is the preliminary and final plat along with the rezoning. Staff recommends approval of the rezoning from DR to GI, approval of the rezoning to add the MCC overlay to the site, approval of the preliminary plat subject to the 6 conditions in the report, and approval of the final plat subject to submittal of an acceptable final subdivision agreement if necessary prior to City Council.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Okay, any comments? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the rezoning from DR to GI. Approval of the rezoning to add the MCC overlay to the site. Approval of the preliminary plat subject to the following 6 or 7, I'm sorry? 6 conditions in the report. Also approval of the final plat subject to the conditions of the preliminary plat approval and submittal of an acceptable final subdivision agreement if necessary prior to forwarding the request to City Council for final action.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Rupert? Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Thank you. And then item 22.
So item 2 is the special use permit for the general office and general retail sales component. Obviously, the warehousing is the largest square footage, but these other uses require this use permit. So staff recommends approval of the special use permit to allow general office and general retail sales in the GI district, subject to the 7 conditions in the report.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Do I have a motion?
A motion to approve the special use permit to allow general offices and general retail sales in the GI district, subject to these 7 conditions in the recommendation report.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Sotolongo? Sullivan?
Yes.
Rupert? Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Thank you. And good luck. Thank you. Thank you. Good, nice project, by the way. Looked good. Thanks. Last item on the agenda then is item 5, which is KC 10-26005, C 12-26006. The applicant is Key Investments LLC. The request is preliminary plat approval of a line 192, a subdivision outside city limits, with rezoning from AG to R6, along with expansion of the MCC overlay, Lot 1. The location is southwest of 192nd and Q Street. May we hear from the applicant?
Good afternoon. I'm Joe Foley with Foley Schult Engineering, the engineer on the project. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. Address is 3930 South 147th Street. We have at the southwest corner of 192nd and Q a relatively small multifamily project. It's about a 7-acre parcel, just under a 6-acre multifamily lot we're proposing to plat here. With 2 public streets to serve the development in the surrounding area. We're proposing about 90 units. I think that per code we could have went up to about 130 units if I got that right. So there's 6 buildings on the site. The east 2 are 2-story buildings. The west 4 are 2-story facing east and 3-story facing west to make up for some slope going across the property. So there'll be underground parking on that west side. Going to be doing a lot of landscaping around the site. There's a lot of mitigation trees, and I know the applicant is planning on planting a lot more. They've already started planting trees around the site. I guess with that.
Are you the engineer?
We're the engineer.
Okay.
We've looked at all the comments, and I know there's a few things to work through for the final plat, and we're open to all those. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Okay. Thank you.
Just a quick question. Does the site not allow for more density, or what's the reason for stopping at 90 and not going to 130 that you could do?
We looked. We could have put just about 40 more units. The owner wanted to do this specific style of apartment, and also we didn't want it too crowded in there. It is a challenging site with slopes, so we're kind of dealing with that, and with the 2 public roads going through there, we felt it was the best compromise on number of units versus what we have at the site.
Hey, your site plan looks nice with the layout in the trees and landscaping and all that.
Appreciate
So,
that.
looks nice.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? No, there was one here earlier. Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Eric?
Yeah, so I don't have too much to add. Obviously, we have a plat and a rezoning. It's compliant with the master plan. It's adjacent to mixed-use center. So, I don't have too much to add. Whenever we have fairly sizable apartment complexes and, when there's no opposition, I think that's either a good thing. I don't know if there was a neighborhood meeting that was successful or not, but
That's the first one I remember.
we'll go with it. So staff recommends approval of the MCC overlay for Lot 1, approval of the rezoning from AG to R6, and then approval of the preliminary plat subject to the 22 conditions in the report.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the MCC overlay, approval of the rezoning from AG to R6, and approval of the preliminary plat subject to the 22 conditions in the recommendation report.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Rupert? Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo? Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Thank you. All right. Good luck on that. Yep. Okay, final action item that we have is the election of our 2026 Planning Board officers. Normally, we just elect the chair and the vice chair for this every January. So with that, I would entertain a motion to nominate the person for chair for 2026.
Nominate Mike Payton.
Have a motion and a second. Thank you. A motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Rupert? Mr. Chair?
I guess. Thank you.
Approved
you.
5-0.
Thank you. And now I entertain a motion for vice chair. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Sotolongo? Sullivan?
Yes.
Rupert? Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, of
Approved
course.
5-0.
Thank you. All right, thank you all very much for your trust. But I appreciate that. Yeah. Next, I need a motion to approve the pre-meeting minutes and regular minutes from the December 3rd, 2025. Yeah, you'll need to abstain from this. So I need a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve the pre-meeting minutes and then minutes from
December 3rd.
December 3rd meeting.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Rupert? Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Abstain.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 4-0.
Okay, John, do you want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
There you go.
We'll get you on the record.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kathy, record the vote.
Rupert? Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo? Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
So was that
Thank
a
you.
quorum to approve the minutes?
Yes. We
Yeah.
have 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4-0.
Okay.
4 is good.
Okay, yeah.
4 is good.